We have with us today the freshest and the sweetest news from the Korean bio industry. My name is Juri Hwang and I will be delivering some of Korea's hottest biotech issues today for you. So don't forget to subscribe, like, and set your alarm for Bio TV. We have prepared 3 hot news items from the last 2 weeks. The first news I will be bringing you today is the news that Korean bio companies were in spotlight during the ASCO, American Society of Clinical Oncology, the largest global cancer conference. We'll also discuss how Celltrion has signed a 3-year supply contract for domestic bioconsumables with eCell, a Korean manufacturer of biomaterials, parts, and equipments. And finally, following the Ministry of SMEs and Startups announcement to establish a K-Bio Lab Hub, many local governments have jumped into the fierce competition to become the host. Concerning the K-Bio Lab Hub, Korea Bio also held a discussion session to which Professor Kim Jong-sung from Boston University was invited so that he could share his extensive knowledge of the Boston Lab Central. This year's ASCO conference, held on the 4th of June, a lot of attention was paid to Korean biopharmaceutical companies. Medical AI software company Lunit announced 4 research abstracts, including one concerning the Lunit Scope IO, its AI therapeutic biomarker platform, which they claim could be used to find biomarkers for treating cancer patients. The company analyzed the density and spread of immune cells using the platform and scored cancer patients according to each criteria. As a result, Lunit has proved that the patients with higher scores are more likely to respond to immunotherapy. Another company, Vuno, unveiled its research finding after analyzing the cancer tissue slides of the 351 liver cancer patients using its AI-based pathological image quantification and analysis platform called Vuno MedPathLab. The company has confirmed that cell density per lymphocyte segment area is a major variable in predicting liver cancer patients' survival rates. Professor Choi Chul-hoon from Samsung Medical Center made a presentation on the result of the Phase 2A in clinical trial on BVAC-C for uterine cervical cancer on behalf of coronavirus vaccine developing company Celltrion. The company said that the Phase 2A trial was conducted on 21 uterine cervical cancer patients infected with type 16 or 18 HPV for whom standard treatments had failed and cancer was recurrent and metastatic. As a result of analyzing the efficacy of BVAC-C with 15 patients, the objective response rate, ORR, was 27%, while the disease control rate, DCR, was 40%. Also, its progression-free survival, PFS, turned out to be 4 months on average and between 2 and 27 months, meaning the efficacy of BVAC-C is greater than other treatment methods. Among the study participants, 1 patient showed a complete response to BVAC-C. Meanwhile, traditional pharmaceutical companies have also made a series of important announcements. Yuhan Corporation announced the result of 2 studies on the co-administration of its non-small cell lung cancer treatment, localization, and Janssen's amivantamab. It turned out that 16 out of 45 patients who were resistant to its competition, Tagrisso, showed a response to the co-administration, putting its ORR standing at 36%. Furthermore, 1 patient showed a complete response while 15 showed partial response. Hanmi Pharmaceuticals also announced the interim result of its Phase 1b trial of belvarafenib in combination with cobimetinib. The company has found that the colon and lung cancer patients showed acceptable tolerability to the co-administration of belvarafenib, which is licensed out to an American company, Genentech, and cobimetinib, a treatment for melanoma patients. ASCO holds an annual conference in which over 40,000 cancer specialists, professors, and global pharmaceutical leaders participate. It is one of the 3 big global oncology conferences along with those held by the American Association for Cancer Research. and the European Society for Medical Oncology. For Korean companies, it is a perfect opportunity to find joint research and development deals with global pharmaceuticals or grasp licensing out chances. Celltrion has signed a 3-year supply contract for domestic bioconsumables with eCell, a Korean manufacturer of biomaterials, parts, and equipment. Celltrion said on the 4th of June that the company intends to support the domestic industry independence of biomaterials, parts, and equipment by signing a 3-year deal with eCell, which manufactures single-use bioprocess bags used in the purification process, as well as consumable connector kits, which is a critical part used in the filtration process. Celltrion will be able to secure a stable supply of high-quality materials, parts, and equipment manufactured with domestic technology through this deal. Since the company has had to rely entirely on imports so far, the deal is expected to contribute to cost reduction as well. An official from Celltrion said that the company has achieved its first success in its journey toward localization for both co-prosperity and joint development of the domestic bioindustry, and that it will push on to establish a win-win ecosystem by developing and supporting Korean bio companies and expanding the scope of localization. eCell also said that it is very excited to sign a long-term contract with Celltrion and to supply its high-quality domestic materials, parts, and equipment, which have been created as a result of the company's 7 years of research and development. The company also added that it will contribute to the development of the K-bio industry by continuing with the R&D efforts for the localization of cell incubators and materials, parts, and equipment for mRNA. Following the Ministry of SMEs and Startups announcement to establish a K-Bio Lab Hub, a Korean version of the American Bio Startup Support Center, Lab Central, located in Boston, many local governments have jumped into the fierce competition to be the area that hosts the hub. Daejeon and Songdo in Incheon have submitted their letters of intent by joining hands with large conglomerates, and 12 of other cities, including Goyang in Gyeonggi-do, Busan, and Gwangju, are also putting in their best efforts. Under these circumstances, Korea Bio unveiled a video of debate that was held between Professor Kim Jong-sung from Boston University and Korea Bio Vice President Lee Seung-gyu. Professor Kim is the one who have witnessed the remarkable development of the American Lab Central and emphasized the importance of a Korean version to further support the development of Korean bioventures. Lab Central is a support center located in Boston dedicated to bio startups, where dozens of startups are able to share labs and research equipment and receive legal help. Professor Kim said that in the video that in order for the K-Bio Lab Hub to succeed, it has to be dedicated to biotech startups. He argued that to guarantee success, the K-Bio Lab Hub needs to be established in an area where not only companies, but also a large number of industries, academia, research facilities, and medical centers are located, and that the ministry needs to deeply understand what kind of labs and services are needed by the startups, right from the planning phase. This video can be found on BioTV's YouTube channel. Well, that's it for today's news. Don't forget to subscribe to, like, and set your alarm for Bio News. And make sure to have Korea Bio as a friend on Facebook and LinkedIn as well. I'll come back to you in 2 weeks with more new interesting issues related to the Korean bio industry. Bye.